everything. Let's talk to Kevin Faulconer now, the former San Diego mayor and, of course, candidate in the recall election to replace Gavin Newsom. Kevin, welcome back to the show.
And thanks so much. It's great to be back with you.
Well, when you saw this story yesterday, what was your first reaction?
Well, it was devastating. I mean, just as a Californian, this is not something that you mess around with. I mean, this is homes, lives, jobs. They're all at stake. And when it first came across, I think I was like somebody that's scratching our head saying, really? I mean, the governor misleading Californians directly when they knew otherwise. And look, we know that we're facing one of the worst wildfire seasons on record coming with the drought and everything else. And you do not, I repeat, you do not go out and say one thing and do another when it comes to protecting lives and everything that we have to do with wildfires. And so this is a story that, as you rightfully pointed out, broke yesterday. It continues to get worse today. This is not a game. This is serious stuff. And you have to have a governor that's going to stand up and tell the truth to Californians and not what we're seeing from Gavin Newsom.
It makes you wonder how much more. I mean, this was his first day in office. He chose this particular subject to make his stand about what kind of governor he was going to become. And he bragged, we're going to do wildfire prevention. And then they put out a press release a year later that, we fixed up 90,000 acres. 13% is all that they really did. And this lie would never have come out if it wasn't for the investigative work of these reporters.
No, look, it was great reporting. And what did we see from the governor? Pass the buck. And in fact, he won't even talk to the press on this. And the fact of the matter is, why you're seeing this outrage, it's another example of Newsom standing up, pontificating, say he's going to do something, doesn't actually follow up or follow through with it. And I think why the anger is so high on this particular issue is because all of us in California, and I don't care what part of the state you live in, you know how deadly these wildfires are. And this is serious stuff. And again, when the governor comes out and takes credit for something that they didn't do, and in fact, the investigation also showed that he actually slashed $150 million from Cal Fire's wildlife prevention budget. That's just astounding. It's absolutely astounding on one of the most important issues, that we face in California. This is a referendum, this recall on Newsom's failures, and this is a failure of epic proportions.
Yeah, it shows you once again he's in over his head. The way that he handled the pandemic, all the debacles and disgraces that have come out of the Employment Development Department with all the fraud, the people that can't get their money. I mean, the things, and of course, wildfires. These are the biggest things that should be on any governor's desk, and he completely mismanaged, screwed up all of them. And then, to make it worse, he lied about the acreage, and as you just pointed out, he actually cut the wildfire prevention budget. You're right. He did cut it by 40%.
Yeah, no, and on one of the most important things that we're dealing with as a state, and look, it goes to the central basic of functioning government. And when you continue to fail, I think you're exactly right. It's been over his head time and time again. And you can stand up and give, folks word salad like he likes to do over and over. But at some point, you actually have to deliver. And on an issue that is so incredibly important, literally lives are at stake. You don't embellish. You don't mislead. You don't cut the budget of Cal Fire. You actually stand up and do the right thing and stop with the excuses. It's too important, Gavin, and he doesn't seem to get the message.
Do you think that the generally Newsom-friendly media will press him the next time he makes a public appearance about?
Well, I think he's getting a lot of pushback today, and rightfully so. Again, this is a governor that likes to obfuscate all the time, right? and doesn't come up and actually tell you what's really happening. And so, look, I think they got caught. I think the media is rightfully all over this. They should be. I mean, this is just basic public safety. You have to protect lives and livelihoods, and this is just a failure of epic proportions. It's not about politics. It's about doing the job. And I think that's why, as folks saw this story broke yesterday, and we know how important it is in too much of our state. to see what's going on. Putting lives at risk.
What do you make of the head of Cal Fire, this Tom Porter, who looks like he's going to try to go on the chopping block for Newsom by admitting, well, yeah, it's our fault?
Well, look, the buck stops with the governor. That's how it works. And for the governor not to come out and address this for several days now, for the governor not to address this when Cap Radio had asked him for weeks, I think speaks volumes. And leadership is about stepping up. And what we see here, it's a pattern of Gavin Newsom who makes promises and then he doesn't follow up with it.
Are you hoping that this will be like the French Laundry? It'll work people up to understand this guy's got to go?
Well, I think people are rightfully angry, rightfully frustrated. I think they do want him to go. Again, that's why 2 million Californians signed that recall petition. And by the way, those Californians were Democrat, Republican, and Independent. But again, this is the type of issue that you never want to see happen because it's too important to public safety. And you don't play politics with fire prevention. You don't get up and claim something that you didn't do. You don't get up and then actually cut the budget for Cal Fire. It's just astounding. And so there's a lot of outrage right now. And as I said, rightfully so. And I just, this pattern continues, which is why I think that Californians are ready for a change at the top. Californians want a governor who's going to roll up their sleeves, get to work, and actually get results rather than what we see time and time again from Gavin Newsom. Do you
care whether or not the voters make their decision in September, October, November?
Yeah, we're ready to go now. I've said very clear. I mean, I think voters are ready to go to the polls tomorrow. And our campaign will be ready. Again, this is, as we've talked about, on so many of these issues where, the governor gives you a bunch of rhetoric. He'll give you a bunch of, as I said, gets up and talks. I'm not afraid of the voters. We're ready. I think Gavin Newsom is afraid of the voters. But when we talk about all the things, wildfire prevention, we talk about what we did in San Diego where we actually reduced homelessness, didn't allow tent encampments on the sidewalk. What I did as mayor, I did not defund the police. I actually increased the budget. Why? Because it's important to keep our neighborhoods and our cities and our state safe. And so I think there's a great contrast we are drawing, one of action, one of somebody who was mayor in a deep blue city in a deep blue state who can get results. That's what Californians want, and they want action, what they are not getting from Gavin Newsom.
All right, Kevin, thanks for coming on again. We appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right, Kevin Faulconer, the former mayor of San Diego, yes, a Republican, and he is running in the recall to replace Gavin Newsom as governor, and his thoughts on the big lie, the latest misrepresentation to come from Gavin Newsom's office, a big investigation by Capital Radio, Public Radio in Sacramento, where they looked into a press release from Gavin Newsom by claiming that 90,000 acres had been treated with wildfire prevention techniques when actually the real number was only 13% of that, about 11,400